I was disappointed to hear some of those things in that book, but I don't know if they meant to Chesterton the same thing that they mean to us. So I did some research. And by research, I mean Googling. Let's find out if anybody else is worried about this. And it was one of those weird experiences where, despite what we just heard, there's not a lot on here. It was one of those where the first page of Google results looks more like an 8th page of Google results, where instantly you've got a book, an author page, an author's blog, a book review, a Google Books, and a tweet and an Amazon result, all for the same exact book. And then the result below that was a forum that had quoted Chesterton and found out it was a white supremacist forum. Turns out those people are not all the same. I found myself on a thread about how Nazis ruined the image and how Nazism is disgusting because it believes everything is determined by your genetics, and that has just made it harder for our people to get what they want. So is Chesterton coming from this place of anti-Semitism? I don't know. Haven't read him widely enough. Kind of sounds like it. The bigger question is, the more immediate question is, can I keep reading this to my child? And I think I can, and here's why. Moses Gould is a cynic. He could be from anywhere. This is essentially a story about belief. You have Dr. Warner, a man of science, who believes that the world is orderly and quantifiable. We have Michael Moon, who is waking up into a mystical belief, the mystical belief of his ancestors, in fact. He's probably an apostate Catholic, don't you think? Irishman, drinks too much. He has all of those Irish things. We have Arthur Inglewood, who he has never had a chance to believe in anything because he's been told what to believe by smart people. And he certainly doesn't believe in himself. And we have Moses Gould, who believes in nothing and thinks it's laughable to believe in anything. Okay, that's who they are. Moses Gould could be from anywhere. Were there reasons that Chesterton made this character Jewish? Maybe. That's a different conversation than how these people react to the mystical. Sometimes I don't want to get confused with what does Chesterton believe and what is the story saying. This is not a long story. It doesn't have time to say all the things Chesterton believed. We can guess some things Chesterton believed, although I am withholding judgment till I do some more reading, but we can guess. The story is not going to be long enough to say those things. It's going to present a cynical man. And it's important to have conversations about a cynical man and it's important to have conversations about a cynical man. Doesn't matter where he's from. I did censor one thing. The men are scrambling up onto the roof to have this roof picnic. They've been awakened out of the highest thought that they thought they could have. They're finding there's another layer to reality, right? And they're climbing up there, and Moses Gould refuses to participate. He laughs with the detachment of another race, it says. And I was very uncomfortable with that. Don't know what all the word race meant to Chesterton. I'm hoping it meant something different, but I actually, regardless if it did or not, I changed the word. I said species, because the point is none of them have been acting human for their entire lives, and they're waking up into humanity. One of them refuses to wake up into humanity. This is what makes him a godless dog, right? Does Chesterton believe all Jewish people are a different kind of creature than the Europeans? Maybe. Does he believe they're godless dogs? That makes me very uncomfortable that he would say that. But this is a story about people at a boarding house. One of them is a godless dog because of his individual behavior. And I think that's all the story, that's all that is contained in the story, and let's stick to that. And then if, once you start to see a pattern across other stories, then we can talk about that. It's an important conversation, but it's not in the scope of this story. A buzzard just flew over my yard lazily. He knows I'm going to get killed for this video. So I am going to keep on reading. I may censor some of the language. The thing is, I don't think kids pick this up from just seeing it one time. I don't think we have to throw away every wrong portrayal if we are balancing it with good portrayals. And I've got a wrong portrayal and a good portrayal from my childhood I'm going to tell you about. Okay. Remember in Fantasia when all the centaurs are getting ready? Do you remember that they are Southern ladies? And do you remember their servant? Yeah. As kids, I remember having conversations about this goofy little person, and we did not notice. We did not know what color she was. Everybody was different colors in this movie. Like it didn't. We thought she was the little sister who didn't know how to participate, and we thought, oh, that's nice that they're including her. It did. The very racist caricature in this movie did not occur to us as children, and I think that's important. Children don't. They can see this stuff, and out of the context of its time, they don't even necessarily realize, and that's good. And the other experience here is, I grew up watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. It came on in 1987. I was 2 years old. Star Trek has never not been a part of my home. And early in that show, they fly to a realm in the galaxy where thought becomes reality. And so it's really hard it's dangerous on a spaceship, right? Because you're doing your job and you daydream about being a ballerina and suddenly you are a ballerina. Like it just manifests. You're on stage somewhere in the middle of the ship. Bad news, right? Things are going to go wrong. Well, I've always been very aware of camera shots. And so as a little kid, and I remember when the ballerina is dancing across stage or across frame, camera's doing one of these, following her, and her commanding officer is like, "Lieutenant, wait, snap out of it," and she dances past a spotlight, and on the other side of the spotlight, she's back in her uniform. They changed shots, right? And I remember as a kid thinking, "Oh, that was cool, the way they hid that in the light. I want to grow up and do things like that." When I saw it again as an adult, it blew my mind what color the actress is. Because in the meantime, my culture and whatever had composited this image of ballerinas to me as being French or Nordic, very white, blonde hair in a bun, and that's not who this actress is. I realized as a kid, because I can still picture the shot without any color on the person. I have two memories of that shot now. The one that I've seen more recently, and the one that I've seen as a child. As a child, I did not see the color. I know for a fact children don't see this at first. My memories reach back farther than a lot of people. I know for a fact that children don't see this at first. So if my child asks, like, what's the deal? I can say, well, okay, this is obviously one of those Jewish people who doesn't believe the Messiah came and isn't even following the religion laid out by Moses. He's set up for us as a man who believes in nothing and is not even in his original homeland. He's attached to nothing, right? That's the point of that. That's as far as his Jewishness needs to penetrate into this tale, no matter what else Chesterton thought he was doing. Could have been from a lot of places to get that across. I hate that an author who I find entertaining might actually harbor these ideas. I don't like finding that out, but I don't think it means we need to throw his writing away. Because I believe that goodness is not overcome by evil. Because I was raised in those years with Star Trek: The Next Generation and reading Rainbow, and black people and white people were on TV together. It wasn't a thing, right? I think I don't think we need to throw books away. I think we need to surround people with diversity, but I also think the diversity job gets done pretty quick. It's like kids aren't stupid. My child we asked about an Eritrean young man at our church. She was talking about like, okay, single men don't have a wife yet. And it's like, oh, that's, because the man that she knows the most has a wife. It's like, how can this be? And we talked about it like, oh, just someday he'll probably get married. And she said, oh, and he'll get married to a brown-skinned person like him. And I said, yeah, he could do that. Or it could be a light-skinned person like Mama. And I remember my 5-year-old goes, oh. She realized, because she's mostly seen light-skinned people together and dark-skinned people together, and so for a moment she thought that's how it is, and I said, well, it could just be anybody, and she was like, oh, and it just hit her. I could see on her face, she realized this is an accidental characteristic, not an essential characteristic of marriages. Whether she knew those words or not. And it's just, I don't know. I think it is a big deal, but I also think children aren't stupid. And even if it came up in a way where I needed to say, hey, look, G.K. Chesterton believed some wrong things, she'd be able to forgive him. She'd be able to understand the story. I don't think we need to throw stories away just because of a mistake made by the author. I think the better question is, what mistakes are you making that in 100 years people are going to condemn you for? So I'm going to keep reading the book.